Welcome back. You're still watching the Road to Tokyo show.
My name's Brandon Beack. I'm 23 years old and I am a wheelchair racer. Sports has always been a part of my life, even before I was using a wheelchair. I was a gymnast, a musician and a dancer, but most of all I was training for junior Olympic level in gymnastics at the age of 16. In 2012, when I was involved in a gymnastics accident on the parallel bars, I ended up missing the safety mats and breaking my neck. I was left paralyzed from about the shoulders down at the time, and I was said I would most probably be like that for life. And I said otherwise. So I dedicated all my time to getting stronger and rehabilitation and therapy. And over the past 7 years, I've regained back more function than anyone ever expected. I've gone from strength to strength, and in 2015 I decided to get involved in a new sport, wheelchair racing. And now, 4 years later, after having competed 4 years in a row internationally, I'm now specializing in 100, 200 and 400 meter sprints, and aiming to go to World Games this year and Tokyo Paralympics next year.
So I've been with Brandon from day one, and we started with rehabilitation. Obviously, he had broken his neck, he had a spinal cord injury, and those early phases are quite delicate. So we had to start with a very gentle approach to rehabilitation and then progress it from there. So from that early rehab phase, we then progressed into looking at what can we do besides just rehabilitation. And that's where sport came in, and sport is a driving tool to further his rehabilitation. So once we switched to sport, he then focused actually on shot put initially. Shot put was his main sport, but we could see that he got a lot more enjoyment out of the sprinting, a big adrenaline rush from competing in the sprinting. So now his training is completely geared towards sprinting. So he's on a very well-structured periodized plan where we focus on different attributes through different times of the year to get him to peak at different points in the season, to make him the best athlete that he can be. Yeah.
When I was still doing shot put and discus, I was very determined to take that further, and at the time I actually set a new South African record for shot put and a new SA record for discus as well in the F52 class. So I currently still hold those South African records, and I also set a new South African record for the 100 meter sprints in the T52 class at the time. This was about 2 years ago. And since then, I've been working on bettering my times, and all building up to this year, where Nationals, it was about a month or so ago, I actually set a new African record for the 200 meter sprints, a new African record for the 400 meter sprints, and I beat my old SA record for the 100 meter sprints in my class.
Brandon is almost your ideal athlete. I think he listens to feedback and he absorbs everything that you have to say. So he's not stubborn as some athletes maybe, where they think that they're always right. I think he's quite humble in that he listens to what input you have and he considers it, and he changes his approach or his technique or his training methods accordingly. So from that, he is more ready to adapt, and that helps him in his training to deal with the demands that are placed on an athlete on a daily basis. Yeah.
Two things I would say define me as an athlete is, number one, that I must never forget where I started, and that there's always place for growth and always place for learning, no matter what. And I'll never get to a point where I know absolutely everything, because I constantly learn from everyone else, and all I want to do is grow. And the other part is one word: grit. So for me, the act of never giving up, it's just a thing that I do. My story goes further than just my own athleticism, because in 2015, not only did I start my sports, but we started up the Walking with Brandon Foundation, because I felt that what I've been exposed to over the past couple of years and how I've improved and recovered, what can others achieve if they were exposed to the same opportunities, the same therapy? So Walking with Brandon offers the first of its kind advanced outpatient neurological rehabilitation program to all people with physical disabilities. Me as an individual, I'll never give up on my dream of walking again, personally. But if it takes me my whole life, then so be it. But in the meantime, I'm going to make the most of it, and I'm going to go for gold at the Paralympics.